Coming by here.
How's Christy feeling?
Good.
Is her hands healing?
Yeah.
How's her? I thought she couldn't even squeeze last time I saw her.
About.
She's getting better.
Yeah, this morning.
Good.
I think it'd have been a dead cat. Yeah.
Okay,
Very
so
well.
it is Monday, January 23rd, meeting at 7:33. We're going to open with the pledge and a short devotion. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You bow your heads. Dear Lord, we thank you so much that we can all be here and meet together to discuss how we can make our township better. We pray that you be with our emergency service personnel and our road crews as they're working to keep our residents safe and help us to make wise decisions. Amen.
Amen.
So we finally have some snow.
Mhm.
And once is enough, I think we should move on.
All right.
I don't need any more snow, but
Yeah.
have you had a chance to look over the agenda, and I'll take any changes you might have?
I have none.
I have none.
Perfect. So how about with the minutes?
Trustee Piero moves to accept them as presented.
Trustee Varian second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And while we're doing that, have you had a chance to review the treasurer's report? Any
Well,
questions?
You got two.
Oh, we have 2 minutes?
Yeah.
Which minutes did you,
Trustee Piero moves to approve the regular meeting minutes from 1/9 and the special, then Trustee Piero moves to approve the special meeting minutes from 1/19.
do we need them separate?
And
That is-
Trustee Varian will second both separate motions.
Okay.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Then I choose.
And have you had a chance to review the treasurer's report?
Trustee Varian moved to approve the treasurer's report as presented.
Trustee Piero seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're gonna move along here quickly because we've had our emergency service people and our road people have been out for all hours. So we want to get them out of here as quick as possible. And we're gonna move on to the public speaks. Nothing to say. Are you sure, Kurt?
I'm positive.
Gosh. Okay, well, nobody else is here.
Behind the scenes if I need it.
All right, we're gonna move on to the fire report.
Tell us about your day. No.
Chief Parker, wait, before you start talking, I want to say that I saw an article today,
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I saw it.
just a very nice article.
Celebrity among us.
This is a very nice article with a picture that my manager found.
I didn't think it was a
Oh.
bad picture.
It was from a training. Yeah.
So I just want to make note for the record that our fire chief is very well educated, trained, and training others to be good firefighters, EMS people too. So
No one-
congratulations,
No one
and
remembers the
thank you for being
picture.
our fire chief.
Yeah, it was a nice article.
Thanks. Yeah.
It's great.
It was very nice. So just a couple of things. We've begun the process of applying for a couple of different grants, one of those being the AFG grant. Through the AFG grant, we are hoping to apply for SCBAs, so air packs, which is one thing we know is on cap that we're going to have to replace. We are also looking at getting some numbers to replace the Cascade system. Both items are high priority this year for the AFG grant. So we have quotes collected for both. We've also looked into if there's any other departments that we can get in on a joint grant. Joint grants tend to have better success rates, like the Marks grant was a big joint grant. For the AFG grant, it is a 5%
AFG, will you identify what AFG for sure?
assistance to firefighters grant. So that's a federal grant. I guess that's redundant, AFG grant. It's just AFG.
Okay.
So a 5% match would be what would be required for that one. We are also looking into a fire marshal grant, which would be for 4 sets of gear. That one does not have a match. And we are also looking at, we are back up again for a BWC grant. So the Board of Workmen's Comp is how we got the gear washer. So we are looking at the possibility of a load system for our other squad. They award up to $40,000 for a BWC grant. So we are looking into that as well. So we are working on all of those grants. The inspector class that was approved at our last meeting at the Ohio Fire Academy was full, and there is quite the wait list for that class. So firefighter Palm had asked, there is another class being offered at Stark State. It is the same class, however, the cost is about twice as much. It is $650 at Stark State compared to the, I believe it was $300 that we had approved for him to go to the Ohio Fire Academy. So I don't know.
When's the next when's the next cheaper class?
So they are offering one in March and they're offering one in August. They are both full. There's a wait list for those classes, partially because they are so much cheaper.
Right.
So there's one starting March 11th at Stark State for $650.
How long is the class? What are the criteria? Just for curiosity's sake.
The class lasts from March 11th through April 22nd and meets 4 hours on Tuesdays and Thursdays and 8 to 5 on Saturdays. I honestly don't know what the total number of hours is.
So Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday for a couple weeks.
For like 6 weeks.
Okay, so there's a decent amount of hours involved.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. So the $300 sounds cheap.
$300. That's why there's a waiting list.
So I was going to say, that's a lot of schooling for $300.
Trustees, we did approve the initial. I think when I look at it, if you're gonna make any moves here, just do a clean amount and then I can cancel that one.
Okay.
Because that was identified to the school he was gonna go to.
Okay, so if we don't do the 650, we're waiting 6 months.
Yeah, and it's.
No, it's full.
It's the August one.
You're waiting a year.
You're waiting a year. Okay, all right. What do you guys want to do?
Go.
I think it's a great thing to have, and if he's willing to go get the training, I think we should have it.
I'll be abstaining, so I'm not commenting.
Okay. I think we should do it because I think we should have, I mean, if he's willing to do it, and we're gonna have another person that's able to go into buildings and do fire inspection. This is the fire inspection, correct?
This is the fire safety inspector course.
Okay. Fiscal officer, would you like us to amend or re-up the amendment?
Just a new one.
Just a new one?
I would rather do the new one.
Okay.
Because the timeframes, and we can look at it then.
Okay.
I have right now, I looked in there training at $5,000, but I have taken that 300. But I know the training, I did that on our temporary appropriations, but I usually figure 10,000 on training.
All right. Will one trump the other, or do we need to get rid of the 300 first?
I'll get rid, I can,
Okay.
I
We don't need to
can
make a
get
motion
rid
on
of
that.
it as soon, if you want to do one for it at a later date, or you can just wait till that later date, because hopefully the price don't go up, and then we don't.
No,
have to
it
redo
won't. I mean, I have the,
And 650, okay. Trustee Varian moves. Did you say Tyler Palm?
yes.
Okay. Trustee Varian moves to send Tyler Palm to Stark State for a fire inspector's course, which is $650.
Trustee Piro seconds.
Roll call.
Varian,
Yes.
Piru,
Yes.
Griffith.
Abstain.
Okay.
The only other thing was Trustee Varian and I had talked about the possibility of fixing the compressor on the SCBA system. I don't know where we're at with that,
So,
what we want to do with that.
If I give an update on that real quick then. So after looking at the current budget, kind of what's allocated and where we are financially with our appropriations and all those things, it would be hard to pull that off right now without moving that money from someplace else.
Yeah.
So the salesman that I spoke to was very nice. The couple of the comments that were made were, we can sell you this $8,500 unit, or we can sell you this $10,500 unit. That's with installation. That's a guarantee that works, that the bill's paid after they're done. type of thing. He said, or I can sell you a $40,000 unit that'll be brand new, which I don't know if that's what we need, but that's what came out of his mouth, and I don't know the jargon. His comment though was, if you buy a $40,000 one, I'll bring one of the used ones and hook it up and let you use it until your new one comes in. So with that mindset, not saying we're going to buy a new one, but with that mindset, I wonder if another phone call to him to say, we would like to buy this $8,500 unit or $10,000 unit, but we're waiting for some monies to clear. Can we rent it? Can we lease it? Can we get it now and start using it and pay you later? So that's going to be my next question. He may say no, but if he says yes, and you know, he did say that the used refurbished units go quick because it fixes a lot of people's problems and it's cheaper. So he said the 85 and the 10.5 that they have sitting on their floor will probably go fast. But what do you think about that?
I think we need to have more conversation, especially if that is one of the things we are hoping to get through the AFG grant.
Okay.
I think it warrants some more conversation.
Okay. So I forget right now, but I went and checked the PSI on the one we have when I talked to him the day of, and the 85, for some reason I think 6,500, but the $8,500 one was the same PSI as what we have. The 10.5 was a larger unit by about 2,000 PSI.
Yeah.
But if you get a new one through the AFG, then we would only be looking at 4,500. If we do the 5% on the $40,000.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Right. It would be cheaper all the way around, and you get a new one.
Which is why I think we should have more conversation.
Okay. So because we don't have the funds, we need more conversation. Let's table that and we'll keep working on it.
Okay.
Okay. Great. And I have no update on the ambulance. Nothing's new through my channels. So.
I do need to meet up with you, Fiscal Officer Lowry, sometime. To put that equipment on Gov Deals, we need some other information that we don't have on our end. So I will need to meet up with you to list that extrication equipment.
Say that again. Sorry.
That's okay. So the last meeting, they had deemed the extrication equipment
Yeah.
that we could list it. We looked into listing it on Gov Deals, and we need more information from you. So I'll have to get together
Like,
with you.
what do you need?
It's so bank information is needed to do that. So
So they want to, I mean, the payment or? just-
to
like it's-
collect payment.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll have to meet with you on that.
All right.
So we had tried and we can't do it, at least not independently.
And one of the other things that we had talked about was if we guinea pig the Gov Deals now and we get set up and we have a user account and a username and all the stuff set up, and we decide to sell the old ambulance when we get a new one, we'll have already done our footwork on this smaller piece. So when we go again, we can keep an auction or whatever we do with the ambulance, but hopefully we got our guinea pig out of the way with extrication equipment, and then when the ambulance hits, we kind of know what we're doing in the Gov Deals world.
So since you mentioned that
Mhm.
ambulance, I will mention that we are in the process of ordering an ambulance, but we are using our American Rescue Act funding that was allotted to us from the COVID monies. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to do that.
Yes. Thank you. That's correct. That's good for you folks to know.
34 calls, 3 assists from Louisville. A couple of them were on second calls. There was one last weekend, we hadn't had a call in like a day, and then we dropped 2 within like 2 minutes because that's
How that goes.
how it goes.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah, that's-
Um,
when you get-
Fiscal Officer Larry, resolution needed for $240 to reactivate software.
Yes, what that was is online payment for their 911 active 911 I did online, and it has happened. So
And
it's
we have
done.
we have funds for that.
Yes,
Okay, Trustee Barry, I'm sorry, who's the payee?
Active 911.
active 911.
Active 911. All right, Trustee Barry moves to pay $240 to Active 911 to reactivate software.
Trustee Pirro seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's all I have for fire.
All right. Thank you very much. We're going to move on to the cemetery report.
Yeah, Ryan, and I apologize, I didn't bring it in here. He gave me 2 checks. And he didn't really have anything to report other than one of it was the Latavo, where we actually got that check for the burial of Latavo, and another one was for lot purchases for $1,000 from Miller, a Miller family. But he just gave that to me literally about 20 minutes before the meeting started.
And I see on here you have something with tree trimming.
Yeah, What I had is, one day Stu and I were up here and I saw this outfit come through. It's called Tree Works Tree Service. They specialize in doing township tree trimming. I grabbed the information there and I reached out to them. A guy said that they would price out, like, for example, where we had Mr. Dickerhoof give us a price on taking that tree down in East Canton or at Union Cemetery. And not knowing his condition yet or see if he's well enough to do that, I wanted to have a backup plan, but these guys also specialize in doing road trimming. Like if there's an area where Stu had, wanted to come in and we wanted to use some budgeted money to do that, where trees are hanging out over and limbs, this is what this company specializes in. I just wanted to bring it to the attention that I did reach out to them. They're willing to come in and give prices both to Stu or for roads, like if there's a certain area, or the cemeteries.
Perfect. Okay, let's move on to the road report and Superintendent Unkefer.
All right, good evening, everybody. Trustees have read over the road report. Is there any questions you'd like to ask?
Where's the culvert being put in on Westfall?
When you're coming westbound off of 44, just past where Mike and Tammy used to live, where they built the new house, just right beside them, up next to them, across the road, there's a house trailer on the south side of the road. They want to put it over across on the other side of the road on Dave, I forget his last name. You remember it?
It's the one that got approved to
Mm.
put the
Oh.
mobile home.
Mobile home across on the other side on his parents.
Fiscal Officer Larry, how do you want this, for this difference on his truck bill? Do you just want a separate motion for that little amount?
If you want to make note of it and go ahead and,
380.
I'll be honest with you, it was hard. I haven't even got to look at it and study it. But because I'd already put the 2 purchase orders in place one of them using all of the American Rescue.
No, I'm talking about.
You talking about
For the repair bill.
all the repair bill?
Not that.
Okay,
Not that,
I'm
yeah,
sorry. I just happened to look up and see
The
Stu had that paper in there. I'm thinking,
Yeah, the
okay. The
384.
repair bill.
Yeah, the
repair bill,
384.59.
all you have to do
difference.
is the balance.
The balance.
Yeah, the balance.
Okay.
There's already a purchase order for that for $3,500. So if you want to do that balance of
Right,
300.
yeah, that's right.
Sorry.
Trustee Puro moves to pay an additional to Alliance Motors of $384.59 for a few additional repairs to truck 204 or 201 on the turbo repair.
Trustee Varian, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No,
We're not doing that tonight.
The,
So where did you pick up tires on Weimer Mapleton? Or did it look like somebody was driving around dumping them, or were they?
yeah, looks like dump.
Yeah.
At least they were dumping them in one pile. Not heave hoeing one every 50 yards.
Stu would ask that if you're going to dump tires, dump them in a pile, not all over. I had another tree fall off our property, kind of right where
I
the
saw.
last one was. And I went out and cut it, and it wasn't too bad. It was fine. And then I woke up the next morning and another one had fallen. And somebody cut that one. I don't know who it was. Did you cut that one?
I mean, not me personally, it was us at like 4 a.m.
Okay. Because I called Stu and I said, "Did you cut our tree?" And he said, "I didn't cut your tree." I'm like, "It must have been the county." It was Amy. Thank you.
You're welcome. It was the fire department.
Okay. Thank you. I apologize. 2 in one night. We're getting really good at this. Like trees are falling around me everywhere, I guess. So
You're
thank
sending
you.
them out.
Thank you. We're going to be working this week on cleaning the ditches and getting everything away. So.
By the way, Cliff,
Uh-huh.
the county
Uh-huh.
did come up the hill
Yeah.
on your side
Yeah.
about a week ago
Okay.
when it warmed up there.
Cut back a little bit.
They cut I don't know if you noticed it, but they cut a whole
Great.
bunch of all that stuff that was laying on the
Well,
bank
I've got a
there.
couple big logs.
You know,
right
where you
across
helped
the hill.
us with them that
You losing
time.
5 inches over your hill.
They had the chipper and everything there,
Oh, good.
cleaning it up and shipping it into
Well-
a truck and hauling it away.
Thanks for the help that was brought to the very end. I
Yep.
appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Okay, is that it?
I guess that's it.
All right, I'm cutting you off.
road millage, 50?
Trustees, the road mileage, we always officially approve and sign off. Usually this is, double check my notes here. I looked at all this at the time. Usually our road mileage is 55.68 that you officially approve, so that's 55.68. Now, when I called into Stark County just to ask them why it now is 54.813, it's because the state has now went to digital picturing of the area, and that's a more accurate number. I was concerned about it lowering our taxes, and he says, you're the fiscal officer that called me, because I felt that would, have a bearing when I do the seat agreement with Canton, because I use the whole percentage of the original 55.68. He said if anybody had questions, feel free to call him, but he said that's the actual number. And when I did the math, when we're talking about what we get, it's pennies. It isn't like it's like thousands of dollars or anything,
Okay.
but it's a more accurate number.
Okay.
And what they're asking for is that new number be approved. Then they have a signature of the chairperson, board of trustees, and then the other two trustees. So that's usually like the president and vice president and what have you.
So we need to approve the 54.81.
Trustee Bureau moves to accept 54.813 road mileage certification 2023.
Trustee Varian, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're moving on to the zoning report. Ms. Brocker?
Since the last meeting, there hasn't been any permits or certificates issued. Over on the nuisance side, we got 2 new ones. 6706 Oakfield Street, I got a phone call from a granddaughter of the person that lives there. And the house, she said, is vacant now, but the door's wide open, so animals are getting in it, and the garage is coming apart. And from what I saw, there's at least 2 vehicles that are just sitting over there. That looks like weeds and stuff have grown up around them, and there's some trash around the house. So far I just taken pictures, but I'll send a letter. I also told her to call the health department so they could see it too, because they'll be able to help probably more than I could. And then over on Lisbon, that's where Lisbon and Belfort come together. Got a phone call about junk vehicles over there. I have gotten calls about it in the past, but there was nothing I could do. And it looks to be about the same from the past situations. So,
Lisbon and Bill.
I'm trying, I'm picturing.
Oakfield is down, when you're leaving East Canton towards Louisville, you have Maple Brook
And then
and
Oakfield.
then Oakfield.
They go down and they wrap around the back touch, and there's a little side street between the two.
Line.
I pulled up a picture of the house.
Yeah, I know
It
it.
has a piece of plywood there on the picture.
They got an edge around it, so it's hard to, somebody fill out a complaint against them.
yeah, they said it's vacant now within the past year or so.
So your process would be whoever is the owner of record to send a letter. And follow that. It could be a bank that owns it. So whoever's out there is owner of record. And what's the Lisbon one?
I called before about it, but there was nothing I could do about it because they don't meet the requirements to be junk vehicles.
At the very end
Is
of Belfort.
it east or west side?
It's like right at the top of the hill there.
You guys are going
Yeah.
home. It's Lisbon and Belfort.
Yeah.
The big blue stately house that's in the
Yeah.
corner.
The old farmhouse.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's why I wondered. That's why I thought.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they might have demolition derby cars there too.
Mhm.
Those are trophies.
Those are trophies. Those are trophies, it's true.
And those are covered up right now, so.
There you go, they're trophies.
Over on Indian Run, Mr. Lawson filled out a paper for variance for the camper, which that hearing will be on February 6th. He was informed that he would need to bring some paperwork with him, just help with his case and see what they figure out.
Okay.
Will they make that contingent on the health, if the health department says that it needs a septic system, will they not grant him that till that is done?
They can, yeah.
That way it doesn't get.
Is this being presented as a is it presented as a hardship? It's being presented as a hardship case.
The other thing, if it's a hardship case, hardship cases are not rentals.
Mhm.
Right.
So he had told us he was charging rent for that. That's not a hardship case. A hardship case is you need someone there to help you.
Gotcha.
I'll make sure they ask that question,
Okay.
because if you ask him stuff, he'll tell you what's happening, whether it's what you want or not, but.
Now lying to you.
And did your BZA do a reorg meeting?
Yes,
And who did they choose for their chair?
Jeremy Avery.
Okay, so he stayed the chair.
I believe all positions stayed the same.
Okay. And nothing on the Ravenna yet?
Nothing yet. Over at the old Indian Run Church, I drove by yesterday and took some pictures. There's still trash along the front of the house and everything. And kind of throughout that parking lot there still.
I did have someone call and complain to me about it, and I told them it was in process. They just thought it looked really bad.
Mhm.
Okay. Nothing else from Mary? We are moving along here. And before we go any further, we do need approval on zoning for our consultant. Community Planning Insight, we approved this. Do we have to approve it again? Because we approved it back when we contracted with him.
You approved it actually in 2000, at the end of 2020,
20,
moving
yeah.
in, but because of COVID and everything kind of got on a hold. So I cleared out the purchase orders and
Oh, so you
stuff
knew
back then. So
Okay.
if you just do a new one, I knew it would eventually come, so.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion to pay Community Planning Insights, which we use the consultant Aaron Sorrell to help the zoning commission. Wait, I didn't see the number. For the layered zoning plan. And the total bill is $4,500.
Trustee Very in second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You don't want that.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
This has his W-9.
I mean, I know $4,500 isn't, it's not chump change, but I feel like he gave us a lot of service for that.
He did. He had a lot of meetings
I
with
feel like he
us.
spent a
And
lot of time with us for that chunk. of
he
time.
did.
So thank you. From the,
Yeah, he did a great job. He actually did a lot of the work
right.
of laying it out and sending it back to us electronically. So it worked out real
You can
well.
see it coming in higher with all the time. You could see that bill coming in higher with all the time spent. So
Yeah.
that was very nice of him to do that.
Okay, so with that, before we go in any further, I did that one.
Yeah, it was nice if you want to go to that,
Okay,
and then get that out of the way.
what is that for?
That's the one you asked me about the IRS, that refund overpayment.
Okay, well, before we do that, I want to let Amy and Mary go. If they so choose to leave, they're free to go. I don't want to make them stay here. So,
Can we talk about
can I have it back?
that?
I do want to tell you, we have an issue with the IRS that Brian's been going back and forth with them for years, 3 years.
Yeah, it's been 3 years.
Okay.
And they kept arguing with us that they needed to refund us, and he said we didn't. So finally, he quit arguing with them and we took the refund.
Okay.
And now they're saying we owe them.
So now I had to cut a check and to pay them back. But I've also submitted in over 6 months ago that I shouldn't have been penalized to begin with because they charged a fee on that.
Okay.
But it's a working process with the IRS.
How much is it?
We're gonna pay a check here is for $2,744.95
Okay.
to pay the IRS. And we expect them eventually to refund some of this back to us again.
Okay. Got it. All right.
It's kind of an unusual thing, but.
Yeah.
And this is over a period of 3
Is the pay
years.
actually Internal Revenue Services?
Yes.
Yeah, it is. Okay. Trustee Varian moves to pay Internal Revenue Service $2,744.95 for an ongoing back and forth on an overpayment and a fee.
Trustee Puro seconds.
All in favor?
Thank you, trustee.
It might be one of the 87,000. They might not call you back.
I don't think they ever made it there yet.
What?
Okay, we're gonna move on to old business. We're setting a record here, dudes.
Here we go.
Fire, road, cemetery levies. We've met, we had a work session, we had a regular meeting, passed a few resolutions, and now we're here tonight to discuss resolutions for 3 different levies. So let's do the resolutions first.
I think it's fire first.
Anybody can go.
Okay. Or you let me know when you're ready, fiscal officer, to start jotting these down.
Hang on, because I'm gonna jot it down as we go, and then I'm gonna pass them down where signatures are needed. I think I got the right, everything's marked, okay.
And you would like these resolutions separately, correct?
Definitely,
Yes.
definitely.
Okay, here we go. Trustee Varian moves to put a 1.3 mil fire levy on the November, is it November ballot?
May.
I'm sorry, on the May ballot. This levy, if were to pass, would be a $46 per 100,000 for the taxpayers of the township and the village, because the fire is a joint venture.
I'll add that it would generate $184,888.
Great.
Do I have a second?
Trustee Puro seconds.
Do you need roll call?
Yes,
Roll call?
Varian,
Yes.
Griffith,
Yes.
Puro.
Yes.
We're
We
gonna
keep
go
moving.
ahead, well, let's sign these so we don't get anything mixed up.
Thank you.
You typed it. Yes.
Very good. Okay.
The next will be for the road.
Trustee Puro moves to place a 1.05 mil road levy on the May 2nd primary special election that will generate $149,332 annually at a cost of $37 per 100,000 of county auditor's praise value.
Trustee Varian, second.
Roll call?
Varian,
Yes.
Griffith,
Yes.
Puro.
Yes.
And then I will make a motion to put a levy on the May 2nd ballot for upkeep in our cemeteries. This will be a 0.15 mil levy, which will generate $21,333. Do I have a second?
Oh, Trustee Greer, second.
Roll call?
Sorry, Varian,
Yes.
Griffith,
Yes.
Pirro.
Yes.
And as an aside, if all three of these levies were to pass, it would be an $88 per 100,000 of the county's appraised value, county auditor's appraised value.
I also want to add that the cemetery has never had a levy, and by law, we are required to accept cemeteries that are handed over to us from local churches. And we now have 15 cemeteries in the township, 8 of which are public cemeteries. And the care of the cemeteries is costing us over $20,000 a year, where we're currently at. So this is eating up any general fund we have. So this is to help us with that, because we know we're going to be receiving at least one more cemetery in the future. So we need some help with the cost of these cemeteries, which again, we're required by law to take care of. But they don't give us money to do it with. So we need to have public to help with that. I would also add that the road department has not had a request for funding for, I believe, 16 years. Has it? 20 years for
Actually,
the
we're
road.
in 21 years since we.
Close to
actually-
21 years. And we've been managing and doing our budget real well. But at this point, our trucks and equipment are in need of great repair, replacement. And we take care of the roads, but we don't have funding to bring the equipment back up to the standard it needs to be. The fire department has been 16 years since they've had an increase, but everyone knows with the economy and the shortage of firefighters, EMS, that everyone's paying higher wages, and we don't have the funding to do that. We've been covering it again with extra money that we have had. We've been using some of our COVID money, and that's running out. So we are going to have to ask the public for a small levy. And again, all 3 of these levies together would only cost $88 per 100,000 home. So we're trying to keep everything as low as possible. Any other comments?
As fiscal officer, I'll make a comment. If anyone wants to, out there and that's listening or looks at this, wants to know, the numbers, I can share so many numbers that back when these levies were passed, fuel at that time was only $4,000 or $5,000 a year. Just this last year, we spent $30,000 in the roads.
Mhm.
Fuel in the fire department was under 5,000. It was over 15 this year. That's just fuel, but you take into consideration wage increases over the year. We always try to be fair about that. 2% when I look at the records, just different things there. It's just, I ask myself, can I live off of what I made 20 years ago and still do what we need to do?
Right.
I know Trustee Pirro worked on road grants. All of you actually have worked on grants in all areas, and it helps, but it doesn't help us enough. And when I presented these numbers to you, they were very conservative, but yet if these levies would pass, would help us for the next 10 years, if not longer, I don't think we'd have to go back.
We're very conservative when we need to go to the public, and we're at the point where we have to come to the public because we can't absorb these costs. We don't have funding for it. And I will also mention, if you were listening earlier, you heard about all the repair items that are needed in the fire EMS, which the cost of those are in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. And this would just be a little help for that problem that we're doing. Same with the road. We need to repair a tractor, a mower, and just the arm alone was $35,000. We need to replace a truck, so we're talking over $200,000. So there's just a lot of cost here that.
I might add, our chip and seal, we try to set a goal over a 5-year window to get through the township that we do 12 to 15 miles a year. that would be the first thing that may suffer, because you may be only doing 8 a year, and that would
Mhm.
drag it out, and the roads will deteriorate. The price of maintaining the roads has went up considerably over the last 20 years.
And just the product itself.
Yeah.
So we're all open, talk to any one of us, and we'll be happy to hear what you have to say and see how we can answer your questions. All right, with that, we have new township business, change in AT&T to Spectrum.
Yeah, trustees, I was approached again by Spectrum. Being we have our Spectrum high speed here, I was on a contract with AT&T on our phone lines. I would like to have permission to start the process when the contract moves out of AT&T to get the phone lines here at the township facility switched over to Spectrum. The initial pricing right now on the 2 lines we have here is around $30 to $40 a line. Right now, we're presently paying, if you saw the last bill, $289 with AT&T. The next step with that, I talked to Philip Schwab, and I want to move the fire station to the same type of setup. He has assured me that he would be willing to do that, and has done that with both the village, I believe. He did the village and helped them with that upgrade. He feels it'll only be in a few hours here of doing that here, and maybe 3 or 4 hours up at the fire station. And he verbally just had told me a few $100s here costs, and maybe a little bit more up at the fire station. But what we have right now with AT&T, we have a contract to go through June. So if I start working on it,
Okay.
and that's what I want to do, because I don't want to opt out of AT&T too early and have to pay a penalty, but
Right.
the savings looks like it's going to be considerable.
You want to wait? You want to wait for a motion on Philip Schwab? Wait for that.
I would want you to go ahead and do a motion
Okay.
up to $500, like for both.
Okay.
If you would do that for me, because
Alright.
I can break it down in the fire and then break it down out of the general fund to help do that.
Is $500 going to cover the cost you're going to have at AT&T and Spectrum to make the switch and Philip? Or do you
Well,
need more than that?
what I'd like to do is cover Philip, and then I'll come back to the board if there
Okay.
is additional
All right.
cost.
Trustee Varian moves to allow Fiscal Officer Lowry to begin the process of changing from AT&T phone service here at the Township Garage to Spectrum. Also looking into doing the same thing at the fire department. This motion is up to $500 to spend to make this happen. And this will also go to Philip Schwab to help us make this a transition.
Trustee Pierce seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
And I see there's no more listed business. I do have one, and that is we did receive, hopefully you received it too, the invitation to Stark County Regional Planning Commission annual dinner. We need to make sure we have at least one person there because they do roll call on our township. So not today, but by the time you guys come back, could you let us know who's going to be going? And everyone can go if they want to go, but we need to know that we're having at least one person there. Okay, so look at your calendars when you come back.
I've got one thing for the good of the order. I've been working with Jay Sell, who's our aggregation sales rep. And this man is very good about getting back. So thank you, Jay. If you're listening out there, you're probably not. But the few times that I've emailed him about residents that had questions about their irrigation, he emails me back within 4 or 5 minutes, 10 minutes maybe, and then also confirms back once he's talked to them. So I appreciate him going and helping with that. Got a couple of folks that have called that are upset about their bill. At the end of the day, once we work down through the bill, a lot of times it's not the aggregation. I read my bill. My wife said, "Here, read this bill to know what it looks like." I can see how it's confusing people. But a thanks to Jay Sell for that, because he's been doing great. So,
I would note that in one of those email chains, the AEP announced that coming June, I believe, there's going to be a dramatic increase in rates. So if you're not in an aggregation plan, you may want to consider that, or you may see some dramatic changes in your electric bill coming in the future. So with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn and pay bills.
so moved, Varian.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. I had this in my box. I think I might have set the alarm off. It says alarm report. I think he gave it to
Down
me.
here.
Yeah, I'll keep it aside the paper. I didn't ask it.
Is that from Thursday?
Yeah.
You need that?